Last year I posted my first YouTube video and it was a sketchbook tour, and at the end of it I said that I had been so frustrated all the time when I would see art and I would wonder why mine didn't look like that, and really it was my own fault because I hadn't really put in the effort. And I did show progress in that one. I showed how my art improved, but let me just say, over the last year I have put in the effort and I want to share with you some of this art. I won't do everything, but I do want to talk about how I have improved, how my art has changed over the last year, some of the tools I'm using, and why YouTube has actually helped with that. I might not have a ton of long form videos, but I do post shorts a lot, and those shorts have really pushed me to try different things and improve my art. I've done a lot of art challenges this year, and you'll see that because there's a lot of like repeat stuff. I did a lot of flowers. I'm currently doing a million birds, and it's really pushed me to just improve my art. So let's dive in and look at some of these. After the last video, I got into watercolors. I had never done watercolors really. I think maybe I had tried one. I showed a picture where I tried one thing with watercolor. Watercolor's always been very intimidating. It's still intimidating for me. I've done a lot of watercolor now, but it's still one of those mediums that's really intimidating. I started with, let me find them, these Kuretake Gansai watercolors. I have a lot of them. This is just one of them, one of the trays of them that I have. But I quickly I still use them, but I did end up buying myself some Daniel Smith watercolors, which I don't think a lot of people would jump into right away because they're expensive, but I knew that I was going to stick with watercolor. Once I started, I was like, I'm going to stick with this. I really like watercolors. So I did buy myself some. I got a set of 12, and then I've slowly added to them since then. These are my greens and my blues. Here's some of their more like specialty colors. Ooh. So these ones here, I don't use these as often, but I do love them. A nice thing about Daniel Smith is that I can find these in Costa Rica. It's really hard to find good watercolors here, but there is a store in San Jose, which is the capital, that sells Daniel Smith watercolors. So I have slowly added to my collection of them over time. Okay, so let's actually see what I've done in watercolor. When I first started, I was just trying to draw or paint a lot. So I know I've shared this one before on the channel. This is one I was really proud of. The first time I did this, I was just like, oh my gosh, I did something that looks nice. And then I'll flip through this one kind of quick because I showed this one in my watercolor World Watercolor Month video. But what I want you to take from this is that when I tried something, I would often try it again. So I didn't like how this one looked, so I did it again. I didn't like how this one looked. This is going to be hard. I think I'm going to have to flip this around so that I'm actually showing this on the desk. But, so I did it again here. This one I ended up really liking. And then I tried it again as a cartoony version here, along with my adorable little frogs. So I have a million frogs that I painted as well. And you'll see that over and over again. When I try something, I try it more than once so that I can feel more confident when I'm drawing. In the future, if I want to draw a frog, I have no problem drawing frogs now because I've drawn so many of them. You'll see. It's a cute little frog. This was a fun page to do. I had different people comment on, I think it was actually LinkedIn where I posted this, but people commented on things I should add to this, and so I added different things based on their comments. So this one was fun to do. Let's see. The reason I did these is I got into doing a whole bunch of these so that I could get better at scales, and the reason I wanted to get better at scales is because I wanted to get better at shading and showing volume and highlights. And so I have a lot of things that are scaly or armored animals, as I was calling it. I do a lot of those for a while because I was trying to get better at these. Are just sketchy things, but that's the reason I did these types of flowers, because they reminded me of scales. And I was really just practicing my watercolors. Bullfrog. Okay, we're gonna make this easier. Just set this stuff on the desk because I was struggling there. So, anyway, I'm gonna flip through this quickly. I'm almost at the end of this one. This is just, you'll see again, repeating stuff. If I had a jellyfish, I would try it again. And then that's the end of that one. Alright, and speaking of doing things in series, I have a video where I talk about Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s, and I have two different videos now. The first one was talking about a dupe that I used that were really good, but eventually when I got into watercolor, I actually fell back in love with these Neocolor 2s, and I've slowly been building up my supply of them. I buy them individually off of Blick. Whenever someone comes to visit Costa Rica, I'm usually sending one or two of these to them to bring. And because I wanted to get better at using them, they're not cheap, so I want to make sure I'm actually using them. I did a series of just pastel work. So these are all done with the Neocolor 2s. And I was testing how they looked when they were a bit more like a pastel, so still rough, or smooth, as in watercolor or like gouache. They have a gouache texture to them if you put them on really thick. But I use them with watercolors, so this is with watercolor and some brush pens, but it's still the Neocolors. Trying to do them a little more painterly sometimes. And so that's a theme for this, is that I do tend to do things in series so that I improve on a specific skill. The next one was flowers, I think. This is how the flowers eventually ended up looking, but that's not really how they started. They started more like this. And I just kept drawing flowers over and over again, trying to get the different shadows and highlights and volume of a flower right. And then eventually I created them. I gave to my mom for Mother's Day, so I don't have it here anymore, but I did this one. And then this one, which is probably my favorite flower I've done, but I also love tulips, so that's probably why. Okay, after that I got into kind of a failed attempt at portraits. So none of these are great, but I did keep trying. I don't give up. I keep trying. I'm going to go back to portraits. That's something I want to do more of, but haven't really loved any of the ones that I managed to do other than these ones, which were actually the first portraits I ever did, but I did them in gouache, and there's a lot wrong with them, but I still like them a lot better than the ones I tried with watercolor. This is another book that I forgot to flip through, but this is more experimentation. This is trying all kinds of different mediums, so watercolor, Kurotakis, these are the Daniel Smith, these are gouache, more gouache, acrylic markers, Neocolor 2s, and then my watercolor pencils. You'll see a lot of frogs in this one, because again, when I try something, I try to do it a lot. I have two pugs, and so I made a pug walrus here, because my pugs remind me of a walrus. This is where you'll see that I try to repeat something again. So the first time I do it in watercolor and color pencils, the second time I do it with pastels. This is just trying different art styles, different techniques. This was a picture that I took at the beach, and then I just made it a little bit more cartoony. One of the beaches here in Costa Rica. And things don't always turn out great. Like, obviously, these are sketchbooks. You'll see some of my really sketchy ones in a moment. These, I didn't like how they ended up. That's okay. And now we can get into what I've been drawing lately. So lately it's been all birds. So I have drawn a lot of birds. This month is Avian August. And before that I started drawing birds. This month I'm drawing birds every day. And I'm using all kinds of different mediums. So this is gouache. The other ones you saw were pastels. These are pastels. The Neocolor 2 pastels. Let's see. And this is where I'm talking about. Sometimes I do things just really sketchy and fun. If I want to get to a picture that's like this, I often start with something like this to just kind of draw something for the first time. Sketch out different shapes, try different color combinations, and then I can paint something like this. Sketchy stuff usually ends up with something a little bit nicer after I do the ridiculous sketches first. This was a series I did of birds as New Girl characters. If you've never seen the show, I'm sorry, you should watch the show. But this would be Winston, so there's a quote by Winston, and that's why I chose this bird, because he talks about being colorblind and not being able to see brown and green. My husband is colorblind, and that quote always reminds me of him. So, Nick Miller. Jess, because she likes polka dots, and the Northern Flicker has all kinds of polka dots. There's a toucan here in Costa Rica that has a rare leucistic, I think it's called. It's not albino, it's leucistic, and so it's white, and it's a famous toucan around here that birders try to find, and I painted that one. I have a video about this. One of the things I hope you take from this is that now, as I've been drawing and putting in the effort more this year, I feel a lot more confident. This might not look like it because it's very sketchy, but that was the point. My son came upstairs. I had made a painting for my daughter of a raven that she wanted, and he asked me if I would make an elephant for him. Elephants were my dad's favorite animal. My dad passed a few years ago. My son was really close to him, so he wanted an elephant. And in the past, I would have been like, I can't make an elephant. But I sat down, and in less than 10 minutes, I sketched him an elephant. It wasn't this one. He has his, but it was very similar. I did it a few more times, and then I created a video about it. So if you want to try to draw a sketchy elephant like this, I have a video on my channel about it. But just being able to be like, yeah, sure, son, let me make you something real quick has been honestly really meaningful in my life. If nothing else comes from my art in the future, just being able to make things for my loved ones has been really just wonderful. I know that's a little sappy, but it's true. All right, more birds. Let's see. Another flower. We have this one. Some very sketchy, kind of silly ones again. I did these little kinds of silly sketches before I did this one. Definitely feeling a lot more confident in the stuff that I draw. I like taking on more challenging things and trying different techniques, adding different colors. I still really love working with mixed media art, so if I put mostly watercolor, like this is mostly watercolor, I'm probably still putting color pencils or pastels or things as well, which is what this has too. And then, wow, did I show these ones? I don't think so. So more birds, we're gonna go with. Got back into gouache recently. I haven't used gouache in a long time, so this was me playing around with gouache. I did this one and this one. And then we have our watercolor. Alright, last but not least, I do want to show that I do still do a lot of very sketchy notebooks to practice my skills. They don't all end up looking like this, and that's okay. So, let's see. So this is the sketchbook that I just play around in a lot. I test materials, I test different shapes of stuff. This is where I put the imperfect art that works well for me to test things out before I put it on my more expensive paper, because this is a very cheap sketchbook that I got off Amazon. If I want to try to draw an animal for the first time, I'd never drawn a camel. I have a camel here with dragons. I don't know why. This one ended up looking like Joanna the Goanna. Doing different kinds of animals for the first time, I usually gravitate towards this sketchbook. The first time I really drew birds, I kind of just drew them in here. Let's see, testing different things, trying to draw wings, different shapes of stuff. So this was like a peacock that was flying up in the air, and I just wanted to get the general shape of it down first. And then because this month is me painting a lot of birds, some of these are a little bit nicer than the other sketches because I have been posting these ones. These ones are a little bit more put together as far as the pages go in the sketchbook. I just did a video about this. If you want to learn how to make blobby birds, he started out as just blobs. And then with just a little bit of effort, I show how you can create something cute for your sketchbook. These don't have to be perfect. They're just going into a sketchbook. So if you want to try that, you can check out that video. It's called Blob Birds if you want to check it out. The last one I have is this little one. It's a Royal Talon sketchbook that I got inspired by another YouTuber who does a lot of color play. And I realized I wasn't playing with color as much as I liked, or patterns or mark making, but I hadn't really used this. It's small. I didn't like using it as much, but I found real joy in just creating different color play in here. It's a book I go back to a lot when I need some inspiration on different colors, or let's see, we have different mark making, different patterns that I've tried. And it's just a fun book. If I don't know what to do for the day, I can just come in here and kind of play around, have fun, try different patterns. And I really encourage anyone who maybe you have a sketchbook you haven't done anything with, you don't know what to do with, just try this, throw some colors. Sometimes I just do repeat patterns of the same thing. Like, trying different bird shapes, right? Because it is, again, this month where I'm drawing birds. There are a few in here that are a little bit more put together, like my cute little chubby pigeons here, lapwing, flamingos. But usually I'm just putting really sketchy stuff in here, like this. Before I did this painting, I just wanted to get the shapes and where I was going to put the bird and how big it needed to be, so I just put something sketchy first. And last but not least, my little inky ibises. Alright, so that's not all the art. If you look here, I have this huge file. Let's see if you can see it all. There's a lot of sketchbooks. I have a lot of sketchbooks, but I think you can see that over the last year, I have been putting in the effort. I'm trying to get better as an artist. I definitely feel like I've improved. If you go see that first video, not hating on where I was or the progress I had at that time, but it's a lot different than where I'm at now. I'm a lot more confident in trying all different kinds of mediums. I'm more confident in picking colors, trying different things. I have more of a kind of a library, so I guess that's a weird way to say it, but when you do the same thing over and over again, whether it be flowers or birds or frogs, you get this kind of visual library that you can pull off of, and you can create things without having to have a million different references. I still use references a lot. I'm all for using references. I don't have a problem with that. But I also feel confident in just sitting down and drawing some things sometimes, especially when it comes to creating new things. That's what I want to work on in this next year, is just kind of creating hybrid animals. If I can draw a lizard, I can draw a snake, I can draw a camel, then I might be able to combine those in unexpected ways. And that's something I'm really looking forward to improving on, creating different worlds, having a little bit more fun in that way, not just what I see in everyday nature, which I love doing, like my little frogs and mangoes here, right? We have lots of mangoes in Costa Rica, but trying to expand a little and do my own thing as well. So I hope this was encouraging, that you can see with a little dedication, you can go from some really sketchy, not bad. I don't think my art was bad, but I wasn't confident in it at all. And I wasn't confident in the lines that I made. I struggled with pretty much everything I sat down to draw. And I don't do that anymore. Even when I don't like something I'm drawing, I usually can find a way to improve it. If you watch that blob bird video, I talk about that a lot. That nowadays, if I start making something and I don't really like it, I know I can probably improve it some way. I can keep going with it. It may not be my favorite thing in the world, but I have a lot more confidence in the stuff that I am drawing and painting. If you want to know anything more about the tools I use, the different art mediums that I have, let me know in the comments. I'd love to expand on some of them for you. But until then, I'll see you later.